What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to Mr. Plays, and today I'm going to be doing a tier list for June 2021 for Marvel Contest of Champions, where I sort every single champion in Marvel Contest of Champions into their own tiers. So what I do is I've set up a bunch of different tiers, so I have Cheat Code is the best, then Overpowered, Beyond God, God, Good, Average, Bad, Terrible, and then the Meme Champs. And so, first off, I'm going to be talking about the new champions this month. So, first, I'll talk about Mr. Negative. So Mr. Negative, I'm going to be putting him in the God category. Mr. Negative, he's actually a really good champion. I feel like he's a really nice addition to the game because he's got a lot of interesting and really helpful utility, but he's also got some really nice damage in a lot of different ways. He's got that cool thing where if you dash backwards, you get rid of all of your buffs, which seems like a bad thing at first, but it's so helpful for a lot of different scenarios and nodes and all that stuff that punish you for having buffs on yourself, which is really nice. And he's also immune to Nullify, Stagger, and Fate Seal effects, which is great because in case there's, of course, a node that will nullify your buffs in some sort of way, he's great for that. And he's also got a really weird but cool heavy counter tactic, sort of like Elsa Bloodstones, where if you're charging your heavy and then you'll evade, you will counterattack with some hit them and then you do some extra damage, which is really nice. And he's also got that light energy where you get 2 every time you parry, or dashing back will remove all your buffs and then you get 1 light energy per buff that you removed. And then if you evade or you're knocked down, all your light energy, you convert that into dark energy. Then while suffering from disorient, so the best way to counter this guy is putting disorient on him, but each time dark energy is gained, you inflict a delirium, which makes them have less combat power rate, a lot less, 60% less, and also their dash and dodge controls are reversed, which just makes him a more annoying defender. And he's also got this cool, he's got a really good special too, where what it does is the first hit will inflict a Petrify, reducing the opponent's regen and ability power rate by 80%, which is really good. And the second hit inflicts another Petrify, so that would be 160% if you have 10 or more dark energy active. And the third hit will inflict a degen, dealing up to 4,000 direct damage over 10 seconds. And then the final hit will consume all of your dark energy, inflict 1 additional degen for each dark energy consumed. And so what this does, it's so amazing, because you can just absolutely reverse healing like crazy, especially if you've got the Despair Mastery, because he inflicts so many degens. Because first of all, you got the 2 Petrifies, which do a ton of heal reversal already. And then also, he's got tons of the Despair Mastery, so he'll have tons of debuffs on the opponent. So their healing will just be absolutely completely reversed, and he's a really good character. He also is able to get furies off of his heavy attacks, which is really nice. And then while you're charging, if 1 or more light energy you have active, you will have a 100% chance to evade against basics, which is sort of similar to Quake's ability. It's not as good as Quake's, obviously, but it's similar in a way to Quake's ability, where when she's charging her heavy, you can evade, and you also get that fury buff on the hit, which is really nice. And he's got some nice damage output, great heal reversal, tons of utility. So Mr. Negative, he is a very good, he goes in a God tier for Marvel Contest of Champions. So now let's move on to the second new champion that was released this past month. So next up we have Shang-Chi. And Shang-Chi, he's going straight into the overpowered category. So Shang-Chi, he's got great damage, great utility, and that's really all you want in a character. And he's got a lot of damage, mainly off his special 2. You can, pretty much if you throw your special 3, you can get up your special 2 damage, and you can get all those chi charges from doing different well-timed perfectly timed dodges or blocks. You'll get a chi charge, special 3 will give you 4 chi charges, and then you can throw your special 2, which has all guaranteed hits, and you'll consume all of your chi charges, which increases the attack rate of every hit by a ton for every single chi charge. And if you stack up enough of those chi charges, it does crazy damage. This actually reminds me a lot of Guardian's ability with his force field, and then you throw your special 2, and then it does a ton of shock damage. So it's sort of similar to that, but it's just a ton of damage, which is amazing. And he's also got so much utility with his Wushu strikes. So pretty much if you do a medium strike, it inflicts a slow on the opponent. reducing their ability accuracy by 100% for evading or becoming unstoppable, which is amazing. You can't do this against natural class advantage, sort of like how She-Hulk, you can't refresh your Furies off when you're down with the class advantage, when you have the class disadvantage, but it's so good with that slow because it's so many, especially in like the Abyss, where there's champions where they've got that unstoppable after a certain amount of time, then he can just slow them and then they can't do anything. Slow is such a, I feel like it's such an underrated piece of utility. It's such a good piece of utility. They have 100% less chance to evade or become unstoppable, which is absolutely amazing. Because those are two of the most annoying things to fight in the game, and Shang-Chi just absolutely shuts that down. Then also, if you do a medium, light, medium, you'll purify 3 debuffs. And then that's absolutely amazing because he works so well with the suicides because you can purify those you can just purify those debuffs right at the beginning, doing a medium, light, medium combo. And it's absolutely amazing. And also, you'll gain indefinite cleanse passive, which is what was introduced with Jabari Panther, which is pretty much stagger, but on debuffs on yourself. So you'll gain a cleanse passive for each ready Wushu strike, and that lasts until this Wushu strike is ready again. And it's really good because it pretty much every debuff, it will just automatically remove it, which is amazing. And then if you do a medium, light, medium combo, the last hit will become unblockable if you strike into a block. And you also gain an unblockable buff lasting 1.5 seconds for each ready Wushu strike. And it will also pause during Shang-Chi's special attacks. And that's actually really good, especially against stun immune matchups, or matchups where you don't want to take any hits into the block. Instead of having to try nail intercepts, you can just do a 4-hit combo into your block, and then just get them blocking in and go right back in. And then he's also got that pinpoint strike, which is medium, triple light, medium, the normal combo, and then inflicts a stun for 0.65 seconds for each ready Wushu strike. So that's actually a pretty decently long stun. And then also, pretty much every time you use Wushu strike, it becomes unreadied, and then if you do a heavy attack, it will ready that Wushu strike again, which is really good. It will ready all of your Wushu strikes, so then you can use them again. And also his special attack, his special one, will either landing or striking to the block. It performs the last Wushu strike you did, but not counting the stun because then he has a perma stun. So it's really good because you can also like double up on your Wushu strike in case you want to get an extra slow off, or if you mistime something and you did the slow too late, and then it runs out, you can just throw the special one even into their block and it still does it. And he's just such a great champion. He was a great addition to the game. He's got a ton of damage off that special too, if you get up your chi charges, and he's also got so much utility. He's just such a great champion. Okay, and so now I'll talk about champions I'm going to be rearranging from before. So this is not counting the buffs. But so first of all, what I want to do is I want to be taking our boy Stealth Spidey up to overpowered. And so Stealth Spidey he's a really good champion. He's got tons of utility, tons of damage. You can get some Furies, and then his damage is absolutely insane. If you do the flashbang, if you do his flashbang little things before, if you activate that, then he has like pretty much all guaranteed crits, which is amazing, because if you use end it with a light attack, then he'll inflict a fragile debuff on the opponent. And then what that does is it makes you have tons more crits, and he just does so much damage, and he also has a great amount of utility, because if you do if you load the other different cartridges by activating different ones, you can also inflict a slow, which is absolutely amazing. Again, that really good thing, because then they can't evade or become unstoppable, which I just love Champion 2 Slow. I love She-Hulk, I love Shang-Chi, and I love Stealth Spider-Man, because that slow is so good. And then if you'll get that charge back after you do the fight, so you can choose to either do the flashbang, which means you will have the crits. You can do the tranquilizer, which means and that will inflict an enervate on the last one. What that does is it prevents the opponent from gaining power when struck for 3.75 seconds. So it's pretty much a power lock, except they can still get power from power gain effects like Hyperions, but they won't get any power from being struck, which is amazing. But his main utility comes from either the web phone, which is the slow, or the flashbang, which means you have a bunch more critical damage, which is really good. And then Special 1, it will reactivate your spider sense, which gives him a chance to evade, which is really good because, of course, we all mess up, and evade mechanics are amazing. And Stealth Spider-Man, he's just such a great champion. I feel like he deserves to be in the overpowered category. And so now I will also be moving another champion up to overpowered, and that champion is Longshot. For this guy, he's such a simple champion. You just parry, charge your heavy, throw it, and you get the bad karma on the opponent. And then you just keep doing that, get 5 bad karma, throw your special 2. As long as they're not incinerate immune, it is absolutely insane damage. And then even if it doesn't kill them, you just parry, do more heavies, and then inflicts quick incinerates, which do even more damage. And this guy, he just does so much damage, it's absolutely insane. And he's also got a pretty nice chunky bit of utility, because what he can do is he also has that good karma. So you have a chance to gain, you have a half chance to gain 1 good karma when you attack, and you also, while you're charging heavy, you'll gain good karma, and when you reach 5 stacks of this, you gain Pure of Heart. And what this does, it doesn't stack, but it can refresh, and what it does, it ends all remaining good karma that is applied to the opponent as bad karma, and then you can apply bad karma to the opponent. So when you consume good karma while the opponent is below the max 5 stacks of bad karma, you'll apply this on the opponent for 12 seconds, and it will also refresh all existing stacks, so you can really keep up that bad karma for a while. And for each bad karma, Longshot will gain 12% of power generated by the opponent, which is some nice power gain there. And whenever the opponent launches a special attack or a heavy attack, all bad karma effects will be refreshed. And so his heavy, pretty much what it does is you gain 1 good karma every 0.4 seconds, and each hit consumes 1 good karma and places bad karma on the opponent. And his special 2, of course, it does, the final hit will inflict an Incinerate, doing a ton of damage. And also, while this Incinerate is active, the opponent is Fate Sealed, which is a really good thing. Pretty much it nullifies all buffs that the opponent will activate. And also the Fate Seal will remove the bad karma effects. And each buff and bad karma removed by Fate Seal, it combusts and inflicts a passive Incinerates, which deal tons of energy damage, over 2,500 energy damage over 1 second. And this also will benefit from its critical rating. And if during a special 2 the Pure of Heart is active, instead of inflicting Incinerate on the final hit, the Incinerate triggers on activation, and it will start at the beginning instead of the end. And Longshot is such an absolutely amazing champion. And he's also got this really cool mechanic where he's got 18 to 60% chance based on Sig level to nullify any buff and replace it with bad karma. So that's really good. So pretty much if you have him at max Sig, almost every other buff will be automatically removed, and it will be automatically nullified that the opponent generates, and you can replace it with a bad karma on the opponent. And if you nullify a True Strike, Unstoppable, or Unblockable buff, you gain that buff for 2 to 7 seconds. Based on Sig level. So if they gain Unstoppable and you nullify, then you're unstoppable. Or if you're fighting against a certain champion, they gain an Unblockable buff and you nullify, you're unblockable, which is really cool. Which is one of the Longshot is such a great champion. He does so much damage. Also has some nice utility to go along with it, which is what puts him in overpowered. And now, so what we will be doing is we will also be moving a few other champions around. So, right here, we will be taking Mr. Fantastic from Beyond God and moving him down to God. I feel like he's got some really nice utility, he's got some nice damage, but I feel like he's just not at the level of everyone else in Beyond God, at least right now. He needs to have full team synergies to get the damage over time from the debuffs. He's still got the nice utility with those debuffs, but I feel like he's much more of a support champion, more like Odin, or White Magneto, because he helps other champions so much. Especially you can have that synergy where they get power stings, or you can give put the debuffs for the crossfight with him, and it's really good because he's a really good support champion. He's also a really good champion on his own, but I don't feel like he's at that level of Beyond God. And then also we'll be taking, let's see, where do I have him right now? We will be taking Vision Aarkus and moving him up to God. This guy, he absolutely shuts down robots. He's got that armor break. If you're close to them for long enough, then he inflicts an armor break. And then while their armor broken, they have a cold snap on them. He just does a ton of damage. And then you can actually just spam heavies in the corner. You can get a good amount of power gain over time, which is really nice. You can shut down their power gain, which is Visionary. He's one of the best champions to counter robots. Like, probably Medusa's the best, And then Vision, he is such a good champion to counter robots. He's just absolutely shuts them down. And he's also really good against other champions too. So I feel like he deserves that God tier ranking. And then also we'll be taking our boy Rocket Raccoon and moving him up to good. I feel like I've been sleeping on this guy for a little bit. He's actually a pretty good champion. His special 2 does some nice damage. Also, it's pretty good, and also he has that nice synergy with Hitmonkey, where both of them, whenever you crit, you will inflict an armor break, so you can get your damage up even more. And he's actually a really good champion. He has like the worst health pool in the entire game, so he's really a glass cannon. He does a good amount of damage, but he doesn't have much health. But he's a good champion. And then finally, I'll be moving Psycho Man down to bad, and Super Skrull down to average. So Super Skrull, again, these guys, I just feel like they're not good champions. Super Skrull, he's just the most average champion. He's good for nodes like Buffed Up. He's good for some stuff in Shang-Chi in the Villains variant, but there are other champions that cheese it even more, so you probably just want to use one of them instead. And then Psycho Man, he just has no damage. He has some utility. He's got some power gain. He's got that unblockable. He's got some power control, but he's just a bad champion. I just pulled him from a 5-star featured, and I was just so disappointed. Psycho Man, these guys, they aren't as good as they used to seem, so I haven't seen anyone actually do anything with these guys to deserve that they stay in that good category. And then now, finally, we're moving on to the buffed characters. So the first buff I'll be talking about is Ebony Maw's buff. So Ebony Maw, he goes from bad to average. They didn't do it. They tried to buff him again. They didn't do a good job. All they did is, they did this cool thing where on his special 2, if they're faltered, you can inflict additional degens on every hit. So you can actually get some pretty nice damage from that if you time it correctly. But besides that, he doesn't have much going on. His special 1 can nullify a buff, but his damage is still just so underwhelming. His utility, there's not much there. The falter is a pretty nice, cool thing where the voice, it goes up every 20. You'll inflict a falter on the opponent, which is pretty cool. But there's just nothing that stands out about him, about the Ebony Maw buff, that really shows that he's amazing. All it is, they really just added a bit more onto his. Pretty much they took synergies and put it into his base kit, but the synergies, they didn't even make him that much better anyway. So he's got a bit more degen off the special 2, but other than that, he doesn't do too much. He also can get some more attack and more degen duration if you ramp him up throughout a quest, but still, it's just not enough to really put him anywhere higher than average. And so now, next up, we will be taking War Machine and moving him into Beyond God. So War Machine, I feel like he's such a good champion. His buff was really good, because especially he's really good for longer fights, because what you can do is you can throw, what is full rotation you want to do is you want to throw special 2, and then special 3, because what he does is his special 2 inflicts an armor break, which is absolutely a really good armor break. Pretty much what it does is reduces their armor rating for over 3,000, and it's a 30-second long armor break, which is amazing. And he's also got that cool thing where heavy attacks refreshes all personal debuffs, excluding stuns on the opponent, and it has a cooldown of 20 seconds. But since the armor break is 30 seconds long, and the cooldown is only 20 seconds, you can keep the armor breaks up the entire fight. They have 100% uptime. His special one's actually also really cool, because his minigun, it will inflict a suppression debuff. Every single shot will inflict a suppression debuff, reducing their combat power rate by 10% for 10 seconds. And this will also apply on blocked hits, which makes it a bit annoying for as a defender, but still not too bad. And then also, each shot has a 60% chance to inflict a rupture, which deals a good amount of physical damage over 5 seconds. And the chance to rupture increases by 60% for each armor break debuff on the opponent. So pretty much, as long as you have at least one armor break, every shot will inflict a rupture, which is really nice. And then his special 3, which is really good, is it inflicts a stun for 3.5 seconds, and it also, you gain a fury, increasing your attack by 1,600 for 30 seconds. But each arm break on the opponent will also give you another Fury, which is really good. So if you do that full Special 2, Special 2, Special 3 rotation, or even in like shorter fights, if you just go Special 2, Special 3, he's still really amazing. Because the Furies, they just make him, he does so much damage, it's crazy. And he's also got some nice crossfight abilities, which is really nice. So you can give the opponent, someone else on you, another tech attacker on your team, or yourself, you can give support, which they gain 2 cleanse charges. So pretty much that's really good if you're running suicides and they want, but they're not a very suicide friendly tech attacker. But you can just slap on the 2 cleanse charges. If they're not bleed and poison immune, they can just get rid of those, which is really nice. And then you also have Fortify, which you gain energy resistance equal to armor rating, which is pretty good. And also, the final one he can give is Skirmish, which gains up to 355 attack rating based on current armor rating, and debuffs excluding stuns that gain plus 20% duration, which is actually really good for Hulkbuster, because his shocks are even longer, and he gets even more attack because he has that armor that like he can stack, and it's just, his support is really, it's actually pretty nice, which is pretty good. And so it's nice how they're adding a bunch of new champions that can support other champions. And then also, he's got that really cool empty the clip mechanic, which it was good before, but it was only good for one fight, because then you'd have to heal up. But, so pretty much when you're brought below 15% max health, you activate empty the clip, and you'll gain 12 Fury passives, which each grant 100 to 400 attack rating, based on Sig level, and these effects are lost as you land attacks. And then you also gain 12 regen passives, which recover 400 to 1600 health over 15 seconds, and then he loses these effects as he's hit, which is really good, because if you get down below 15% and have a special 3, that special 3 can just do so much damage with all those Fury passives. And then also you can go into the next fight and get down below 15% again, because you have those regens that bring you back above 15%, which is absolutely amazing. He has got I like what they did with his Sig ability. And so, War Machine, he just a really good they did a really good job buffing this guy, and he is a Beyond God champion. And then finally, we have the Ultron buff. So Ultron, he is also a tech champion that just got buffed, and he is going at the same spot as War Machine in Beyond God. So Ultron, they made it, his buff is actually sort of confusing, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple to do. So he's got tons of functions. So pretty much every 7 seconds, you'll evade for 1.5 seconds. So you activate that function evade. When your health drops below 50% and 25%, you'll activate function heal, which gives you a self-repair buff. And then all attacks, so every 5th attack is a guaranteed crit, which is another function. And then also every 3rd attack inflicts a bleed, which causes a bunch of direct damage over 6 seconds. And if they're mutant, then you inflict a matching degen debuff, which is nice. And so that's really good. And he's got, so that's really cool because he's got guaranteed crits. I love champs with guaranteed crits, like Mole Man, Ghost, of course, Corvus. And then he's also got the guaranteed bleeds, which is cool. Again, sort of like Mole Man, because his crits are guaranteed bleed, so he's also got a guaranteed bleed. And then also, whenever you block, every 4th block attack will grant you an armor up, but also a well-timed block counts as 4. And then heavy attacks will trigger function damage for each unique function you have used during the fight. So pretty much what that means is you will inflict, and function damage is where you inflict a bleed. So you'll inflict a bleed for every unique function you've utilized during that fight. And then finally, he's got, whenever you launch a special, he's got a function Cauterize, which removes all effects from the opponents caused by your function damage. So pretty much it will remove all bleeds or degens if they're mutants. And you also gain 1,400, almost 1,500 attack rating for each effect removed this way for the duration of the special. And also a special 2. On the special 2, that attack bonus from the function Cauterize, so you'll get that attack bonus that you get, it lingers for 10 extra seconds. So you still have a great ton of attack after the special 2. And then also any function damage debuffs that you trigger during the attack are doubled. So you'll get double bleeds on all those. And then a special 1 will inflict a function stun, so we'll stun them. Special 3 will also stun them, and it'll also do function burn, which inflicts power burn, which drains 2 bars of power and deals direct damage proportional to the power drained, which is really nice. And so it's really cool, because I love what they did with this guy's buff, which is really, because pretty much what you want to do is you want to activate as many functions as you can, then throw a heavy, and then throw a special two. So you'll bleed them, you'll remove all those bleeds and gain a crazy attack bonus. The special 2 will do a ton of damage, and then also you will have that attack bonus for another 10 seconds, and then you just repeat that. And so they did a great job with this buff. His damage is absolutely insane. His signature ability they didn't do much with it. Pretty much energy attacks that deal energy damage you can regen from, and also incoming incinerated shock effects suffer minus 25 to 80% duration. But honestly, you probably just want to use a shock or incinerate immune champion. But he's just such a great champion. They did a great job with this buff. And so that will do it for the video. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. And if you did enjoy it, please be sure to give it a like. And also, if you want to see more Marvel Contest of Champions content, please consider subscribing with notifications on so you don't miss any new content. And so just to go over one more time, we got cheat code, overpowered, beyond God, good, average, bad, terrible, and meme champions. And so thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, peace!